Hitman 2-3, this is Hitman 2-2, over.
Hitman 2-2, you're coming in weak and unreadable. Try cleaning your handset. Try again.
Hitman 2-3, this is Hitman 2-2, how you read me now?
2-3 has you loud and clear. Out.
Hitman 2-3, this is Hitman 2-2, over.
Roger, I got your
ready to top full. Please fill me in on your debris. Alright. Calm down, buddy. We're gonna be down here. We're not gonna calm down, pop this pump. Don't go. The second foot's coming down. And if nobody can do it, these guys can do it. So just relax. It'll be cool, okay?
It's day 5 of our Odyssey. We're heading off to Matt's to have a look at Matt's Centurion tank. I really have some mixed feelings about it. I'm not quite sure what to expect it and whether I even want to drive it. It's been a long time, 50 odd years since you and I have been together in Vietnam in a Centurion tank. I don't know how you feel about it, mate.
I'm feeling excited because it was a few years ago the last time I had a drive, but I'm looking forward to maybe getting back in the driver's seat and having another whirl.
Well, yeah, probably will be, but I'm not sure.
This is how the day should
Everyone
start.
sleep well?
Morning,
Yes.
Jared.
Love the
Morning.
shirts, love the shirts. Good work. Now, today's game plan is, Cuz, the Ravs have enough fuel for today, or do you guys need fuel?
No, they're right.
You all right? Hilux?
Plenty of petrol, sir.
I got plenty of petrol, so we don't need to do a petrol stop.
But there wasn't a lot of help around then, not like now, and people kind of went, oh, you know, you're in Vietnam, get over it sort of thing. It wasn't a really, wasn't it? It wasn't like, and it was not like you really told anybody anyway.
No.
So after Vietnam, you just went straight back to doing your military service and doing what you were doing. And there was never any mention of any kind of mental health support when you got back.
No, and unfortunately, the majority of it, like we got back to Armits, you know, probably 50% of the staff, that was working there, were Vietnam vets. So we all had the same work hard, play hard, drink hard ethic. It was just the way it was.
And when they came back,
so we thought what we were doing was normal. You know, it was normal to us. Work hard, play hard, drink hard. And it just continued on. It wasn't until the early 80s the new army come in where they weren't really happy about drinking and smoking, and they all got caring, sharing and what have you. And sort of we didn't fit in anymore. There was a new high flyers coming through that had passed all their training courses and this, that and the other, and their promotion courses, but never have actually spent much time in the job. You know, they just had a lot of theory, but never put it in practice, had a chance to put in practice, the high flyers.
So there was quite a change, like a new generation of recruits had come in, so the army had obviously changed a lot. And so, okay, like you were saying that you did get some psychiatric help, but you didn't really make use of it. I mean, you didn't find it helpful to you at all?
not the VVCS stuff.
Not the early VVCS stuff. They did. living courses, did a couple of them.
That was after you got out.
This was after I got out. Yeah, while I was in, I go down to Melbourne. I go, well, tell us about Vietnam. Well, what do you want to know? I was in a tank. We were in the bush, and what do you say?
And when they came back from Vietnam, you said, did they get mental health? No, they weren't even recognised. So when they came back, they flew them in at night time in civvies, so no one knew they were Vietnam vets. Because Vietnam War was so political and so much, everyone was against it in Australia. So Mick flew into Sydney at night in his civvies, and then flew down to Melbourne. I think he got in late in the afternoon, so in civvies. So they weren't recognised when they came back, and that was, I think, a hard thing as well.
And so the army was, or I guess the Defence Forces were really conscious of the fact that that you guys were involved in a controversial conflict, and they didn't tell you how to navigate that once you got back home.
No.
You kind of absorbed just that shame, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And especially like for the Nashos, they came home, got out of the army, and went straight back to their normal jobs as though nothing had happened.
Yeah.
The guys, the same as when Mick came back, he had 2 weeks off work, so we got married in those 2 weeks, and he had 2 weeks off. We moved to our living quarters in Seymour. He just went back to work.
So, do you think it would be right to say that in most cases people just didn't even want to admit they'd been there? That they would hide that information?
Yeah, because I knew a lot of blokes that bought, because we'd come back and got married and went straight back into married quarters, never mixed with civilians, or rarely, only to go shopping and stuff like that. We stayed in a military environment all the time.
You were respected for being in the military, I imagine, but you weren't respected for having fought in Vietnam.
No, that didn't come till a lot later.
Yeah, and when he was in Vietnam, I wouldn't tell people my boyfriend was in Vietnam because of the backlash you would get. So none of us would say, oh yeah, my boyfriend's in Vietnam. You just go, oh.
Wow.
So it was really, really bad. And the guys would send home stuff in the mail, and sometimes we wouldn't even get it. The wharfies would pinch it.
Wharfies or the posties.
Like what? Can you give me an example?
Well, the wharfies, they'd go on strike. They wouldn't load the Chaparrot. They wouldn't load military equipment.
As a kind of protest?
Yes.
Yeah, but they didn't realise the effect it had at our end. Yeah. They were breaking material stuff that we needed, and it was broken by the time it got to Vietnam. They were.
So you had your own countrymen fighting against you guys.
There was a thing going around. When you get home, wallop a wharfie or punch a postie. Because of what they'd done. At one stage, we were out bush. I didn't realise. None of us knew that there was a postal strike on. So I didn't get any mail for about 10 days. But Judy and I used to write daily almost.
We did daily.
So I just wrote, Dear Judy, thought I'd drop you a line. Mick. Put that in, send it off with the mail.
Yeah.
And about 2 days later I get about a dozen letters. But I didn't know there was a postie strike on.
And it was really hard for the guys because not getting mail for them was actually enough to put themselves in harm's way and get killed.
Totally, it was their lifeline.
It was their lifeline.
Yeah, it kept a bit of sanity.
So.
And did you know that the letters were being held up, or were you sort of thinking, oh my God, Judy hasn't written to me?
She doesn't like me anymore.
She doesn't like me anymore.
Someone else.
So, Dear John.
You can see how that could cascade into all sorts of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all coming up to say hello. Good. No. Good to see you.
We made it.
Yeah, was it?
Good.
Beautiful day today. I think.
Perfect day. Perfect day.
How are you, my friend?
Peter Rosemond.
Okay, Peter, mate, how are you?
His darling wife,
Yeah, thanks.
Vicky.
Yeah.
G'day, Vicky.
How are you?
Good to see you. How are you? Huh? I like your jumper. It's a bit upmarket.
And then we've got Mick and
G'day, Mick.
Judy.
How are you, mate?
How are you, mate?
Good to Matt.
Good to see you. How are you?
Judy.
Judy, nice to meet you. How are you?
And this young fella's Gary.
G'day, Gary. You look like the youngest fella. How are you? Hey?
We are
the oldest.
We are the original crew. 1, 2, 3.
You don't look a day over 30.
No, and this is the crew commander from another vehicle, but he was in our tank troop as well. Right, so of the 4 vehicles, we were 1 Alpha. Mick was the gunner. This was the radio operator cum loader.
We could have done with you this morning.
And I was the driver. So that's kind of how we all fit into this particular crew. But Pedro, we call him Pedro, his name's Pedro, his nickname's Pedro, was one of our crew commanders, one of our leading crew commanders within our troop, and eventually retired as RSM in the Army. So he's had quite an important role and stayed in Army Corps all that time. So Mick stayed in, what, 30 odd years? 20 years as a warrant officer. Gary was a national serviceman, so he was called up for his 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's how he looked when he joined. When he was 21, he hasn't changed a bit. And Gary talks a lot too, so you've got to be careful. So that's us. But thank you for letting us do all this, mate. It's grand.
Welcome home, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're more than welcome. It's a beautiful day today, I can tell you.
No, it's lovely.
You're lucky that we've jagged good weather because it's been shocking during the week.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Oh
that.
man, rough.
It's a bit cold down the valley.
Oh, there was a frost here this morning that you'd bloody ski on, I tell you.
Yeah.
Absolute cracker.
Yeah.
I was worried that the weather was going to be really bad because it's been shocking all week, overcast and a hurricane blowing.
Oh.
But today,
We'll take this, it's beautiful.
yeah, this is cracking. This is a great winter's day, I can tell you.
I know, it's lovely. So what Matt has, well, I can't understand it all, but there's a shearing shed there. You can see by the date on it, it's 1906. Is that your grandfather?
No, my grandfather came here in 1950. They owned a place further out and they bought this place in 1950 and they came here. They lived in the old house down here at the creek.
Yep.
And Dad had 4 brothers and 4 sisters and they all lived here.
Yep.
And the property was originally called Lone Lee when they came here. But the shed was built in 1906. Just over the hill here, we owned all this country up until the 80s.
Yeah.
Forestry now, and there was a lot of mining went on here in the turn of the century.
What are they mining for?
Gold.
Gold?
Yeah. But I don't think they ever found much. But there was over 1,000 Chinese here. And
Really?
But then when the First World War started, all the Australians all punted off to Europe and basically left the Chinese, and then they fluffed around here and didn't achieve a hell of a lot. They had a right down on the creek here in 1861, where you crossed the river. And then they went from there to Young. And the Australians, just about all the Australians went off the First World War and half of them never came back. You know. Out in the back paddock there's the remains of an old hut fella there. William Archer, he went off the First World War and never made it back. But when the old town was pulled down over here, they built these sheds out of the tin out of them. So this shed and my neighbour's shed over the back here and another shed over the top of the village, all the tin came out of the old town. I reckon this shed was the local hall. They used to come here and have dances. Sit down, Chloe, you ding dong.
Now the other thing is you've got to explain what this stands for here.
Yes.
Bat rack.
Yeah.
It's the bat rack is the busted ass tank repairs and co.
We couldn't remember it.
We've been it's like we were a men's club before men's clubs were fashionable. And so every Friday night we have a group of guys come out and we work on tanks, but predominantly Matilda tanks is our main thing. We've only got this bloody Centurion just to bloody drive us insane most of the time. Our main forte is Matilda tanks. There's 6 Matilda tanks. There's three goers actually.
Okay, now before we go any further, can we do some toilet stops, please?
Yeah, there's a toilet under the tree there, or there's one inside if you want to use the one inside. There's one under the tree there.
No, well that's...
If you need a leak, just head out the back of the sheep pens or in the shearing shed in the sheep pen or wherever.
The girls want to go to the toilet. Go and sell out to Megan.
I was going to go inside her.
You can do. Flush toilet here is very modern. Hey?
Of course. Girls can go inside, blokes can use it outside.
Yeah.
That's bringing that tank out from his shed, and they're going to put it in one of the paddocks for us so we can have a closer look at it, but just listen to it. The huge V12 engine and the clanking, it's been a long time, mate, 50 odd years since I've actually seen one of these things move. It's a sight to behold, I tell you, it really is.
Gets the blood stirred up. Yeah, you got to see the outside world. From the gunner's hole I didn't see much, but the noise was indescribable, but once you've heard it and sat with it for a long enough time, it just sort of seems to get into your system.
Well, I guess with you locked inside it all day, you would be able to know what the tank was doing because of the sounds of the engine and the gears and things when I was working down below, even though you couldn't see a lot. And of course for me, all I could see was where I was going in the front or perhaps following other tanks. So, you know, I didn't get a really good view, and especially when I first started driving, I was a lead tank, so I wouldn't see much. But in this case, when we were in a tank crew together, it was 1 Alpha, we were at the back of the queue. But just looking at this thing does bring back some memories.
Oh, yeah.
A massive bit of kit.
Yep. Yeah, I knew what gear you were in, whether you had a good change or a bad change. Just by the sound of the engine and the sound of the tracks. When we got humming down the highway, the tracks used to hum when you got it motoring.
Well, you know, my job was to keep the tank as safe as possible and as even as possible, so the people in the turret wouldn't get knocked around, especially you sitting in that confined space in the gunner's seat. You know, I had to try and keep it as level as possible and as smooth as possible, especially like when you're going across terrain like this, when we've got dongas and up and down areas. Bumps and lumps must have been very difficult for you inside. It wasn't too bad for me because I could see what was going on, but you kind of had to have your trust in what I was doing to make sure that I kept you safe, and you just had to rely on us like all the crew relies on each other for what we have to do.
Yeah. I just put up with your driving. Didn't have a choice. Just wedged myself in there, and it was good.
Very similar to some of the country in Vietnam if you have a look at where we're going through.
Yeah.
Yep.
So George, what do you reckon? You gonna give it a drive?
We'll see how it pans out, mate.
Yeah.
See how it pans out.
Sounds good.
We can run the start the auxiliary generator. Nate?
We should have charged your camera.
So was I was about. I was 112 pound ring and wet when I used to be down there.
Watch that, Robin. Oh, yeah. She's tight. He's living.
Introduce yourself, buddy.
G'day, I'm Mick, I'm the gunner.
Get your talk up nice and loud.
G'day, I'm Mick, I'm the gunner. Hang on, you can turn the oxygen off if you want it.
Yeah, how do we do that? You can stay there, Lou, are you right? Yeah. No, yeah, come in and film, be a part of it. Have some chit chat. That's a bit better.
That make it easier?
Yeah, now I can hear. Let's put a foot seat back down.
Yeah, and that seat will come down.
Yep. Hop in, Lou. All right, g'day, mate. All right, so Mick, introduce yourself. And we've just landed inside of Matt's tank. We're sitting in the turret, and this is your first time in your position in how long?
Be 1974.
So a few years now.
Yeah. So it's all coming back.
Introduce yourself and where you are and where you're sitting for people who aren't familiar.
Right, I'm Mick. I was a gunner on the Centurion.
Yep.
And I am in the gunner's seat. He's the man that controls the turret, which way the gun's pointing, and does all the firing from this position.
Radio. Wow. And sitting behind you, just to give it a perspective, is Lou. I don't know if I can do an upshot. Lou, if you can say hi to the camera.
Hello.
Our presenter. And that is where...
Commander's seat.
The commander will be sitting. So Lou's sitting there demonstrating just how little space. Now, Lou's
normally the commander's seat would be down here.
Can you lower it down?
Yeah.
Are you able to do that on camera?
Should be able to. No, that's for Travis. Just stand up there, Lou.
Let's have a look.
There should be a lever on that side of that seat.
Yep, I got it up.
Okay, now if the seat's working, you...
no, I see what it's doing. No, it's not doing it.
Yeah, not doing it?
Not doing it today, so I'll leave it where it is for now.
Yep.
And you know, Jared, I'm little.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I was trying to think of a polite way of saying it. Lou is, how tall are you?
I'm 5'2".
5'2". So sitting behind you normally would be a full-grown man of about 80 odd kilos.
Well, Billy Heiss was my height and about 80 kilos.
80 kilos.
When his seat was down at normal level, his knees would be in my back.
In your back. Yeah. And how many hours of any one time would you sit in these sort of positions? Like, you're not exactly getting in and out of here every 10 minutes, are you? You're stuck in here for a period.
No. If we're doing a road run, as long as the road run takes, might be hours.
Hours.
And if we're just running through the bush, might be all day.
Yep.
When the vehicle stops, we get a chance to get out and get a bit of fresh air. Most of the time was spent down in here, for me anyway. Yep.
Did you have any tricks of the trade to try and keep like the blood circulating and stuff, or?
Just keep wiggling your toes, have a look out, see what you can see occasionally.
Yep.
Yeah. Wasn't much else to do. Have a smoke.
Talk us through what you've got in front of you. I'm not going to be able to get too much on camera, but if you can just describe to me what are the controls you've got going on around it.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Right here is the manual elevation wheel.
Yep, let me pull back a bit. Yep.
Right, it's the hand wheel on manual. When we got the power traverse working, it's power elevation. That's the elevation controller.
Yep.
And it's also got a trigger on it.
Yep. And the trigger for?
Both the main armament.
Yep.
And the 50 cal and the 30 cal.
Which would be situated here, yeah?
Yep.
I'm guessing with the hole going through there.
Yep.
Yep.
And they can also be fired off foot pedals down the floor here.
Okay.
Then up here is the selector switch for either the big gun.
Yep.
Or machine gun.
Right.
Yep. There's a antenna tuner for the radios.
Yep.
Here is a traverse indicator which will tell me where the gun is relative to where the hull is.
Yes.
It's 360 degrees. This is the sight, number 40 sight. Yep, number 40 sight. And just beside it here, pretty hard to see, controlled by this knob is a manual range drum, so you can set the range manually.
Yep.
And we have a little bubble here.
Yep.
So for we're shooting long range where we can't actually see the target.
Yep.
We can work off zeroing the bubble, the range off the range drum.
Yep.
And work it off a map and work from that. So you're actually shooting blind like the artillery. Commander station.
Alright, so behind you we got the commander station, yep.
Yep, and he has got 360 degree episcopes to look out when he's closed down.
Yep.
Here is a RCP, reflector cum periscope.
Yep.
And it is linked to the gunner's sight. So what the commander sees in here is what the gunner can see.
Yep.
So he can give his fire orders and that.
Yeah, I'm getting a bit of a view over your shoulder there. So that big dial control, the white thing in front of you, that was again the
traverse indicator.
Traverse indicator.
Yeah.
It indicated where your
gun was relative to where the hull is.
Aha.
So it's in zero, it's at 12 o'clock facing the front.
Yep.
Yep.
Sweet, sweet. And coming around the turret here a bit, if you can.
Up behind is stowers for binoculars.
Yep.
Stowage for machine gun ammunition up the back.
Yep.
And then there's the radios.
This is the radio sets here?
Yeah, C42, which is the main radio.
Yep.
Supply unit, and the bottom one is the B47, the secondary radio.
Yep.
What else have we got going around that way? Picking up memories now.
That's what
you want the lights on still? Can I turn the master off so we don't flatten the battery?
Oh yeah, turn the master switch off.
Turn the master off, yeah, yep. That's what we're looking at. So how does it feel after all these years hopping back in? Mixed.
I feel like I'm about 19 again. 19 in an old man's body. Yeah. No, it's good. It's just the memories coming back and, oh shit, yeah, that's right.
So it was 12 months in one of these tin cans, yeah?
Yep, best part of 12 months.
Yep.
Yeah. I sort of, I swap between the gunner side and the operator side, because when we went through our training, you were trained as a loader operator. So it's...
Well, let's switch positions now. We'll jump out, we'll cut, and you can explain to me what happens over here. How's that sound?
Okay. Yep.
All right, so we're just gradually moving around the turret. So you're now in what position?
This is the commander's position.
Yep.
So if he's closed down, he's sitting here. Normally, he'd be standing up or sitting up with his head out the turret.
Yep.
He's got an override for the...
And that raises and lowers
the gun.
The gun? Yep.
And he's also got a power trans Travis.
And that's the Travis left and right with the whole turret.
Yep.
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 And move the gun.
Yep. So,
can he fire the gun itself from that position?
no.
Right, so he's got no override there.
No.
Okay.
He got smoke grenade discharges here that are out on the front.
Yep.
What else? Oh, there was,
And these are these called copulas, if I got the right term?
this whole thing is a cupola.
Cupola. Right.
Cupola. Yep. And these are vision blocks.
Vision blocks, that's what I was
Right.
looking for.
Yeah,
Vision
and
blocks,
that's and it's peribinos.
Yep.
And
So that's like a pair of binoculars kind
Yep.
of thing, increased magnification?
Yep, magnification. This one is linked down to the gunner's sight.
He would see what you're seeing down through
Yep.
the sight.
Yep.
Same thing.
He can grab the override here.
Yep.
Travis around. Yep, that's, and then where he leaves it is where the gunner's going to shoot at.
Okay, cool.
Now, with a bit of luck, that's the hat. Where's the lock for this?
No, she's a bit stiff. All right, let's swing out. We'll get you into where I'm standing, which is the loader's position. We'll have a chit chat there. All right, we now swap sides and positions. I'm now sitting in the commander's seat. Now this gives me a good view of where you were just sitting in the gunner's seat, just down there. And now if I pan across, you're in the loader's position, is that right?
This is the loader operator's position.
Yep.
Tune radios.
Yep.
Load the guns, machine gun, 50 cal ranging gun. Ammunition is stored in, there's two of these sliding bins.
Yep, yep.
2 rounds in that, so there was 4 rounds there.
Yep.
Underneath here is another 4 rounds.
Yep.
Right.
How many rounds in total would you have? I know you got a mixture.
64.
64 shoved into here.
Yeah, there's a 20 round ready bin there, which is beside.
Take the camera and just point it down there to get a really good shot. Yeah, just hold it like this and just go down into that. So just say what that is.
Yep, and this is the 20 round ready bin.
That's a good shot.
And just underneath it there
Yep.
is where the batteries are stored.
Sweet.
Sweet, yeah.
So back here behind us, that's all the engine bay behind there. Or kind of more down under, isn't it?
Oh, the engine.
Yeah,
Well,
kind of.
we're at the moment where the engine's back there.
Back that way.
Yep.
Yep.
That's called the bustle.
The bustle.
There's little bins here for first aid kits.
Yep.
Extra ammunition boxes.
Yep.
Bits and pieces the commander might need. Map cases.
Yep.
And in our case, 40 ounce bottles of Bacardi.
The important stuff.
Yeah. And then you got your ammunition bins here for your 50 cal.
Yep.
30 cal. We used to carry 9mm and 7.62 or 223 for the infantry. We'd have some spare ammunition for them. And then the rest of the ammunition's under the floor.
So out of the year that you were serving in Vietnam, was there one day in particular that really sticks out in your head, memory-wise? For good or for bad, being in here?
Oh, we had well...
Were there good times?
Well, a lot of good times. Yeah, the good times are when it weren't bad times. Yeah, when there was nothing happening. There's a couple of memorable moments.
Okay.
Missing the Long Highs, which is a mountain range that I shouldn't have missed, but rack and pinion that elevates the gun was worn.
Yep.
So when we loaded the ammunition, the gun was there,
Yep.
which is linked. The gun's linked to the sight. The sight picture's spot on.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we loaded, the gun went like that, but nobody noticed it. We didn't notice it had gone like that. So I was aiming at the base of the hills.
Yep.
Loaded the round, the gun went up, fired, and went straight over the top of the hills, which wasn't very good. And apart from getting your head out there, the only view outside the operator had was this little periscope here.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get a sense, I guess, the sense of claustrophobia? I guess they'd vent out the people who suffer from that before you get across?
Yeah, I think it pretty much weeded out in the early stages of the training process.
Yeah.
I never suffered from.
Did you ever get any guys that were over there and it just became too much after a short period of time or a period of time being in here? Everyone was fairly well conditioned?
Yeah, everybody, yeah.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, this was home for 12 months.
Yeah,
really.
I'm sitting here quietly. I'm just trying to sink in the three of you in here, and this is home. And then, of course, the driver down
then
below.
Poor old George, he's down there. He's isolated from the rest of us.
Which we'll get to in a second. And
Yep.
in here, you got your life is in here for 12 months. Your books, your mags, your clean undies, all your bits and bobs and everything kind of thing.
No, all our
day to day.
The greens we wore.
Yep.
The turret bin just out here.
Yep.
That was the commander's bin.
Yep.
Can't remember what that one was for, but the big long turret bin there, that's where all our clean greens and that.
Okay, so you had your personals and stuff out there.
Yeah, all your personnel stuff was outside.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and well, I think I was like the majority of blokes. Don't think any of after the first week there, we didn't bother wearing undies or socks.
Yeah.
I slept on the seat once.
You slept on that seat once?
Yeah. Somewhere.
There we go.
Sit back there, like this. It was too dangerous to be up top for it. Well, slept in a hole.
And we're just waiting for Pedro to come down in his position. All right. So, I might start off with Pedro. If you could introduce yourself and talk us through who you are and where we are, actually, and give us a bit of a background about your position in here.
Okay, well, I'm Peter Rosemond. We're currently out at a farm near Oberon, and we've just reunited with a near damn perfect working Centurion, and it's so complete. I'm astounded that the amount of equipment and stuff that this owner has actually got on and in the tank. My role many years ago was as a corporal and later as a sergeant, sitting in the seat that I'm in now as a crew commander of a vehicle similar to this. The role of the crew commander, of course, is keep the crew in a harmonious working team, direct the driver, give the fire orders and so on, and do all the range estimation, navigation and such for the movement. And the operator would maintain the radio sets and the tuning of them. They needed retuning regularly because they were old valve radios that wandered off frequency. And of course, loading the two machine guns up the front, fixing them, changing ammunition and loading the main armament. So if I gave a particular fire order to the gunner, it wasn't just to the gunner, it was to the loader, because it meant that he had to select a type of ammunition and load that. The gunner would use various parts of the equipment to identify what the target was, the range, and apply everything before he fired.
Now, I'm a little bit squished in the corner, so I'll do the best I can. So, Gary, if you could introduce yourself, mate, and talk us through your role and where you're sitting at the moment.
Well, usually the standard seat used to fold up.
Yep.
It still does.
Yep.
The radios, so my position was radios.
So you were mostly jointly responsible for the radio, both of you, or
No,
mostly you?
Me, I tune them.
Yep.
And there was racks here. Just keep a couple of rounds here.
Yep.
Which, under attack, say,
yes.
Pull one out, open the breech, shove the round up, and I had to push that lever there, which I tell you can see, otherwise the gun won't fire. that completes the circuit.
Yep.
I say on, canister on, Peter would say fire, Mick would say fire down, fire.
Yep.
But that was the job, whacking them in,
Yep.
pulling them out.
So let's go through from the start. So let's go through. You've got a target locked in. So you've selected a target. So what happens in here then? Talk us through the sequence of events.
We're manoeuvring, we
Yep.
stop.
Yep.
I identify a target, the range, or just pick a range and say 1,500 metres.
Yep.
And it's a light vehicle, and I want to destroy it.
Mhm.
So I report on the radio, contact vehicle, and wait out. I give a fire order to the gunner. The driver stopped, and the fire order might be shell 1500 vehicle in open. And I would then, using this control, traverse the vehicle left or the turret left or right.
Yep.
And the gunner's looking down the centre line, and when I'm approximately in line with the target, I would say on. If the gunner saw the target, he would then say on. At the same time, the loader has selected a high explosive shell.
So Gary's doing what at this time right now? So you would be...
When Pedro says load, canister load HE.
Yep.
Usually come sitting here, whack them out.
Yep.
Shove them in, that's all right. Then push that lever.
Yep.
It's like HE on, just ready to fire.
So that means...
It won't fire with that lever being pushed.
So at the end of your roll is hit that.
Yep.
She's live, ready to go.
Yep.
And then it's back over to
Pedro.
Pedro.
The things that happen, the gunner sees the range, 1500.
Yep.
Yeah. And looks through the sight. When he identifies the target, he says on.
Yes.
The loader throws a round up the spout.
Yep.
And hits the safety switch.
Yes.
Picks up another round and says loaded.
Yep.
Yeah. That tells me that the loader's loaded, he's right and ready, the gunner's on the target, I give the command fire.
Mm-hmm.
The gunner, there's a bit of a thing here, it's a counterbalance.
Yep.
If you throw a round into the chamber, this is a mechanical elevation rack up the front there, the weight goes to the back of the gun.
Yep.
So the gunner has to wait until he gets loaded before he makes his final lay on the target. I've said fire, so once he's laid on the target, the sight's in the precise position. He says firing now.
Yep.
And on the W of now, he pushes the trigger. And boom. This recoils back.
I was about to say that was my next question. So if I can get as wide back as I can, how much recoil we got going on back here?
Close to a foot.
Yep,
So
let's see if I can
the
get
breech
that.
comes back to about where my hand is.
Yes.
Yeah. As it runs forward, there's a cam underneath.
Yep.
It reopens the breech, and the shell case falls in that basket.
Yep. Now that
he's already got another one in his hand. So as soon as that runs forward and the shell case out of the way, next one's in there.
So that shell case that's come out, is that red hot?
It's hot and it's
hot.
smoking.
It's smoking.
Smoking with cordite fumes.
Yep. So how much smoke would you actually get in here each round going off? Would it
like a fog?
Like a fog in here.
It can get like a fog. There's a fume extractor on the barrel.
Yeah.
Which sucks some of it into the fume extractor.
Yep.
And then it blows out the front of the barrel. But you always get residual smoke coming out here.
Yep.
And you always get smoke out of the shell case.
Now.
So a lot of rounds, and you can end up in here quite in a cordite smoke, hazardous, I think. Hard to breathe situation.
So would you have? I'm assuming in these situations, when you're in a conflict situation, you would have the hatches shut.
No,
not necessarily.
Most of the time in Vietnam.
Yep.
In fact, I never shut my crew commander's hatch the whole time I was in Vietnam.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that purely because of that ventilation, or
didn't need to?
Yep.
If we've been mortared or rocketed or something like that, I might have had to shut down.
If they're sending mortars across,
other troops and other crews did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I never had to.
Was there a standard operating procedure re the hatches being open or closed, or was it kind of up to left to the commander of each tank?
Generally left. The hatches were open for normal operations,
yep.
and that included shooting and contact and so on. But if you started getting mortared or rockets or anything like that, they're coming down. So the last thing you need is shrapnel and stuff coming down on you.
Yep.
Closer hatches.
Yep.
Yeah. So immediately there's a mortar attack, hatches are shut. Yeah.
What sort of temperatures would you get up to in here in Vietnam?
Well, we're in the tropics, and in the dry season it was really hot, really dry.
Yep.
Dusty. The ground was really hard. In the monsoon wet, the humidity was. I can only say it's typical of Asia. It's like being in Darwin in the monsoon season. Around 30 degrees outside, high humidity up in the 90s.
Yep.
And no matter what you did, you were wringing wet. Yeah, and that posed
hot and wet, hot and dry. Take your pick. Covered in dust, covered in mud.
I'm gonna just say, I'm just gonna state the obvious for the younger generation, perhaps who may not be familiar. You guys had no air conditioning. No, none in here.
It was air conditioning.
Yes, that's the hatch being open.
If it was windy, you had to breeze. If it wasn't windy, you had nothing.
All the floor pins. It's a bit of a trick getting them out.
So how long's it been since either of you have been inside one of these girls?
51 years, me. 71.
Yeah, more recently for me, I got in the tank a couple of years ago. It was actually my tank.
Yep.
It's over in South Australia. I had the good fortune of meeting the farmers that own it, and it goes. They don't have radios and a lot of the.
Yeah, Mick, when we were in here, Mick gave us a good walk around. There's quite a lot of detail, a lot of the original stuff.
But just to be here and look at the setup, and you see where I'm sitting. There's the gunner's backrest. Yeah. Yep. So the gunner's back's there and his head's here.
Yes.
So if I'm not careful, any movement, yeah, I'm kneeing him in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everything's done in that sort of really tight personal space. The loader's there, the gunner's there, I'm here, and there's no room for bad tempers and crosswords and or just clumsiness, bumping into people and so on. So
I must say,
responsibility for all of us to be considerate all the time.
Yeah, I must say,
regardless of the situation.
I've only been in here for all of 20 minutes, and I'm highly uncomfortable. So I can imagine what you guys were going through for hours at a time.
I actually think we overcome it by the training that we did right from the very start. When you're doing crew training, I'm sure Gary will reinforce this. You had 5 students in a crew, and you were learning about this piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. So everybody got a turn at getting in and out and looking at that piece of equipment.
Yep.
Whatever that was. It might be the periscopic binoculars.
Yep.
That's what they are, a pair of binoculars with the head up there, the bottom down here. So you can use the binoculars when you close down.
Yep.
Yeah. So you might be learning about them today. So 5 people in the crew have got to get in, adjust them, turn the cupola and all of that. So a little bit of time in here, some time out there. And by the time you went through 5, 6, 10 weeks of doing stuff like that, you were quite used to the space, getting in, getting out.
Yeah.
And you felt quite comfortable sitting in there.
Yeah.
And then when you did months of pre-deployment training on exercises in the bush, and you were in the tank for days on end, it all just built up together. So by the time we were here now, most guys had spent at least 3 months, 6 months on exercises around the range.
Yep.
Shooting, driving, day and night, all of that sort of stuff.
So how's the feel been back in here, Gary?
Good, actually.
Good.
I was pretty good at the job, as was Peter with his, and we all knew what we were doing.
Yep.
Without having to think about it. It was just something you did, pulling the rounds out of there, pulling those up and trying to twist and pull up at the same time. Loads of fun. Loads of fun.
You got 4 rounds in a bin directly in front of
just underneath. Yeah, I think we went through a little bit with Mick as we.
So that bin there with the lift up hatch and the opening door.
Yep.
That has 4 rounds.
Yep.
As Gary said, there's 2 sliding.
That's down kind of behind me.
That go
yep.
on that rail, and they have 2 rounds each. Behind you and down underneath, in there, there's 20 rounds out go in that bin, and another 22 rounds under the corner.
And we're going to get to it in a second, but from here the driver's compartment is
just down there.
Down there.
Past your left shoulder, down and underneath.
Down underneath. Let's see if I can get a shot. I can just vaguely see it through there. So we're going to jump around there in a second.
Oh, in fact, that's a 2-round bin that was behind you.
Yeah, just there. Yeah.
Yep, just there.
No, that the big one to go down. This one.
Yeah, this one here. Yeah.
You see the little lever, you lift it up and open the front doors, and you can put 2 tank shells in the clips there.
Yeah.
And there's 2 of those bins. Now where your hand is, that's a 50 caliber ranging gun.
Yep.
And the 30 caliber machine gun, that was a machine gun, and meant to be a machine gun, not a ranging gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're about to go for a drive soon, so we're going to squeeze back out.
Spotlight, handheld work trouble light. They've got everything. I'm just stunned.
I've got to work out how to get back in here again. Yep, the legs in. Up.
That seat's up nice and high too.
Thank you, I heard that. I heard that.
There's critics everywhere.
Okay, I'm in. I'm in like Flynn. Here we are. Okay, I'm George Main. I'm an old tank driver, very similar tank to what I drove in Vietnam, and we're up at a property at Oberon, which is owned by a lovely gentleman called Matt, who actually owns this vehicle. So we're up here today to do some documentary shooting, and for all us old fellas to have a run on the tank and see how we go.
So you're currently sitting where in the tank?
I'm sitting in the driver's compartment where I spent 12 months overseas driving in this little bastard here, a little hole in the ground. Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult for me to get a shot. Are you able to lower the seat from where you're sitting?
Yep. I didn't think you want those on there. Yeah. You remember how to do it all. I don't know, I can't know where it's...
Or if you can take the camera.
The lever is, yeah, go on, I don't want to put it down.
Take the camera and just have a little pan around your feet in the area inside and talk through. Point it and talk about what you've got down there.
Okay, down the bottom there we have 3 pedals. The left one, like in a car, is a clutch, and it has an 80-pound pressure on it. To the right of that is the brake, foot brake, and you can't stop the tank after about probably 5 or 6 miles per hour. The drum brakes don't work very well. So you use your sticks on the side, and on the side there is a left stick, and then there is a right stick there, and the handbrake. And on the bottom right floor is the accelerator down there. And in the middle here is the gear stick, and you have 5 forward gears and 2 reverse gears, and you have to double clutch to change the gears. It's not a synchro mesh at all. You have high reverse and low reverse, as they call it. Then in there's a little compartment where I would store my bags, and there's a series of switch gears and lights, and there's a satchel here, and the satchel I keep my logbooks and my paperwork and that. Then underneath that there's another tin box affair with little clips where I would keep odds and sods as well. And then around the side here are the radio controls. And then at the rear of my seat there is an exit to get into the turret. I wouldn't go there very often, but that would take you into the gunner and the loader and the crew commander at the top. Then around here is the instrument panel where you have your speedo, and you can see there it only goes as high as 25 miles per hour, and you could only really achieve that if you're on the open road. and you would be lucky to get to that speed. The other gauges give you oil, water pressure and RPMs. Now the engine in the back is a V12 engine out of the old Spitfires. It's a Meteor engine. It has 24 valves, 2 4-barrel carburetors, and here is the switch panel. The big red switch is where we turn the whole vehicle on and off for all the electricity. Starting mechanism, fuses, starter button, fire extinguishers, and then other levers through there for the fire extinguishers as well. Not down on the floor, you can lower the seat and you could raise the seat. And on occasions I would have to sleep in here. Then on top of that we have the hatches which would close down left and right, and they have little periscopes in them, and you would normally close those down if you're going into a situation where there's a lot of enemy fire. I drop my seat, close the hatches over, and then lock them in, and then look through the periscope to see where I was going. Vision was very limited. I would have a headset on, which is this fella here, that would be strapped around my head and around my neck, and then I would speak into this little microphone or handpiece, and these are authentic from the day in Centurions we used to use. Matt's great to have all this authentic equipment here. This is exactly the same type of things that we would use. So I would get my orders from the crew commander. If I was closed down, he'd guide me through where we had to go because my vision was very poor.
So how's it feel being back here after all these years? How many years has it been?
About 53 years. 1969 to 1970 was when I was over there. I don't know, I got mixed feelings about it. I'm not scared about it, but it's just a tank. Nice to catch up with the guys again and to talk to them. Yeah, looking forward to going to see Ralph tomorrow, sorry, Monday, because Ralph actually has our tank that we had time in, and that's where we have our shirts, tank 169043, and I think that'll bring back a lot more memories as well.
I actually, it's kind of blowing my mind. I had no idea it would be like that inside.
No, you're good. What you thought, it's not what you thought.
Did you find...
You know, I think the thing that I just find so amazing is that it's all hard surfaces. There's nothing remotely ergonomically comfortable. There's no sort of comfort.
There is no comfort.
It's not built for comfort, it's built to kill people.
What do soldiers do? They kill people and break things. Yeah. And that's what this was made for, to break things. Yeah.
But when you're 19 and you're flexible, and you jump in and out,
feel it so much.
Yeah, that's it.
And you spend months and months and months training before you go out to Vietnam to do your thing. So by that time you're pretty au fait with where everything is. There's no coffee shops, there's no soft furnishings in there, there's nothing. But we used to make ourselves comfy, you know, and a lot of times we'd take stretchers to sleep on if you could have a decent place. And what we would do out the side here, if it was a safe situation, we'd tie a tarp to this, right, and just run it off, peg it down, and have 4 stretchers and cook our food and enjoy ourselves out here, camping, you know, in Vietnam. But if it's a bit of a dicky spot, we put a couple of crowbars in so we could drive this away if we had to go. And if it's a real dicky spot, we'd stay in there and sleep inside there or on the back. Or if it's bucketing down the rain, stand up under a tarp on the turret and just stand there all night. So if it was reasonably safe,
some poles on the 4 corners of the turret, with a tarp stretched between them. So you could sit on the top of the turret under the hoochie, and the rain would run off. Yeah.
And how many days would you be out in this thing for a particular mission?
The longest operation we were out on was 10 weeks. Yeah.
Unbelievable. 10 weeks.
Yeah, 10 weeks.
10 weeks, and there's tracked caravan.
Eating out of tins.
Our caravan.
What was that?
Eating out of tins.
Eating out of tins.
Yeah.
So you'd have how many weeks did you say?
10 weeks.
10 weeks.
We'd
so
have ration packs.
But did you know you would be out for 10 weeks and therefore provision accordingly?
No, we'd get we'd get resupplied regularly, as depends on what the operation was. So we might be going out for 2 or 3 weeks. It could be extended, it could be made shorter. It depends on the bad people and what they were doing. But because this uses so much juice, you'd have to have resupplies regularly, and same with your food. There's only so much you can carry. So whatever food you get put on board and your rations, that would last you perhaps a week, and then you'd call in for a resupply. And that was Gary's job.
Gary's job.
And he'd be on the phone, you know, can you please send out blah, 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 blah.
Being the sergeant's operator, all the crew commanders would say, I need 100 gallons of fuel or whatever, and Gary would compile it all as the sergeant's operator. We need rations for 3 days for 4 tanks and the recovery vehicle. And Gary had had the whole composition of the operational support resupply, and send it in, and we'd get a message back, it'll be delivered at X time. Yeah.
Wow, and they were pretty quick to respond, I imagine, to those orders.
There was routine stuff. We could do it today for tomorrow, or we could do it, it was an operational demand that was right now. And if it was right now, it was usually ammunition.
Or if I'd blown a gearbox up, which I would do regularly,
The old boat is running, but the Metadine.
We can now get the gearbox unbolted, if you can get one out here. That might have taken the same day, depends on where we were. It might have taken a couple of days. And if you're sitting there without a gearbox that works, that's not really good. I mean, you can still fire and shoot and do things, but you can't drive anywhere.
Down, or does it go down?
But you wouldn't be on your own, there'd be 3 other tanks there as well.
Yeah. So you're saying these are built to destroy things?
Yeah,
people. So what sorts of things would you destroy?
Well, generally people.
Bunker systems.
Yeah, bunker systems.
Any structure.
Any structure.
This has the capacity to destroy it.
And it would do it by rolling over it, or by gunning, firing.
It depends what the structure is and what the circumstance. If it was a bunker, imagine a bunker is about, say, 2 metres wide, 3 metres long, dug in to the ground, and about 1.5 foot or 2 foot
Well, the alternator's running.
roof over the top, with
So
an
you
in
kick
hatch
the
and an
Metadine
out hatch, or maybe just one hatch. Yeah. The bad guys would live in there, in the jungle, protected, defended, and they could fight from in the entrance. So you couldn't actually get to them. This could just push the jungle out of the way, or blow it out of the way, and then destroy the bunker. There were 2 ways to destroy it. One was to shoot it, and the other one was to squash it.
And were the bunkers easy to identify?
No.
So how would you work it out?
Usually you're getting shot at from the bunkers.
Got it.
Yeah.
Or
the bunkers are detected, the infantry are in trouble, being engaged. See, infantry couldn't do anything if they got engaged from bunkers, because the enemy were well defended, well protected, and our guys are in the open. So you couldn't charge at them or do anything that was just lethal. So our guys would be bogged down, can't go forward, can't get away. They'd call up the tanks or the CAV, the light armoured vehicles, and we would come in from the side and run over it all. And so there were different ways of flying. Helicopter in the air guiding you in the jungle to a known bunker.
Did the enemy have tanks?
No, thank heavens. Well, not where we were.
Once in my year there, we got told there were 2 T-54 tanks seen several kilometres to the north of where we were. That required a very quick reshuffling of ammunition to get the right anti-tank ammunition into the right bins. Thankfully, what happened was the crews of those tanks abandoned them. We didn't get to shoot them. They didn't get to shoot at us either. That was good.
So we kind of had the odds. Now, if you were a baddie laying in the bush and you saw 4 tanks coming towards you, you kind of go away, which was a good idea. We thought that was quite good to do that. Yeah. And we were involved in what they call Operation Matilda, which was the largest armoured operation since World War II. 44 armoured vehicles, I think, off the top of my head, of all different shapes and sizes. and we went through a lot of provinces. Now, I think I explained this to you before, South Vietnam looking like the map of Australia on the eastern seaboard, and we were like down and around Melbourne area, and that was our province. But we then, on this particular mission, the Seek and Destroy mission, went right out past our normal areas of operations into places like Ham Tan and other areas. So we were kind of going up around towards Albury and Wodonga, if you would imagine, so that type of way, and travelling around. So the only thing we got was a whole pile of market gardens, and then we got one Viet Cong bloke, was a Chu Hoi. He wanted to surrender, and he waited till we turned up, and we said, why? And he said, well, if I surrender to the Americans, they'll kill me. If I surrender to the Kiwis, they'll eat me. So I'm waiting for the Australians to come around.
What did you do with him?
Well, we take care of him. Give him a cigarette, ask him how he's going, interrogate him. We didn't do anything naughty to him.
And then ask him where the bases were.
Yeah. But that was a massive operation. I don't think we really...
We led that.
Yeah. I don't think we have any major contacts in that at all, don't we? Off the top of the head.
That's the operation where I was shooting the caves.
Yes.
On the mountain.
Yeah.
So did you feel safe in this?
Oh yes. Well, you would have infantry walking beside you, so you're going to a particular area, might be a contact you're going to or something, or walking through the jungle, so I had to be very careful because they're all in green as well, and they're like walking here, you know, and I've got to be very careful, and I can't see where I'm going all the time, well, I can't see my sides, so I had to rely on my crew commander at the top, you know, and as you're moving forward, you've got to be careful that if something happens and these blokes go to the ground, like lay down, you can't drive, you've got to be very careful. They might stay stationary and then you can drive through, but generally you've got to be very, very careful.
I'm sure accidents happen with those.
No, I can't remember running over
maybe not
one
with
bloke.
yours, but with others?
No. We never had an incident of our tanks, the entire 4 years for 4 squadrons. Yeah, we never had an incident of a tank injuring an infantry guy on the ground. Yeah.
But it was difficult. I remember one time
it was difficult.
Yeah. Well, you have to be careful. In the long highs, I can remember this, we were chasing some baddies with mortar tubes, and I was driving along, and above me there was a helicopter gunship, and he's shooting machine gun and dropping hot shells on top of my head as they're falling down.
A minigun fire.
Yeah. And we're trying to chase these guys. We had infantry beside us as well. I had them through the jungle, had to be very careful, and they're chasing these 2 blokes who had a mortar tube and a mortar plate, right? They put the mortar in it. No one could find them until they ran between the tanks, because they ran between the tanks. There's like hundreds of us trying to find these couple of guys, and they're so cheeky they just ran straight through the middle of us all. And of course we couldn't do anything because we had too many of our own blokes there, so we couldn't turn around. Our blokes couldn't shoot each other because these guys are going, fuck off, see you guys, we're running through. And they just ran straight through. True story. Always tell true stories. Sometimes a bit stretched, but
Yeah. So, what's it like seeing this again? I mean...
Well, I said to Gary the other day, now Gary talks a lot, so you've got to be careful, right? He never shuts up.
Please stop interrupting.
And Gary was like this over there as well. He was very quiet, shy. I don't know, I've got kind of mixed feelings. I want to drive it, but I don't want to drive it. You know,
I want to get on it, get in it, but I don't want to.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and Gary and I were talking about this when we were down in Melbourne. We were going, Gary's got a great DVD we should play later too, and he's got a contact we went to. I can't remember the contact. This contact on the 8th of July.
274 Richard.
274 Richard, right.
3 tanks, yeah.
And he's got Chris Prickett's contact details.
That's when we were, the Chu Hoi, the Hoi Chan took us into the bunkers. Yeah, I've got some pictures and stuff like that.
Well, he's got the actual report that Chris Prickett put in, and it's signed off by Chris Prickett and Jan Shipman. Copies of it. So I started reading that now. I've forgotten all that. You know.
I'm going to read you something out of the 8RAR, how that contact was recorded in the 8RAR district. Yeah, it's nothing like what you guys are talking about.
No. So
we're not going to be anywhere too near Mrs. 1 o'clock a power at RBGs. We didn't know because we're busy at the time. Didn't see him coming. We're busy. driving while loading.
He's working two machine guns and he's loading the back of their bro.
Standing here is a really good example. George is here and he can see straight under that tree.
So where's his eye? Where's the view? I can't see the hole where he is. Oh, he's going to see up there.
Just grab that, put one foot up there and lift yourself up and you can see that. That's the hole, that's where the driver sits. When you start the hatches, see the prisms?
Yeah.
You can turn them face the front. So close down, he can see out. So George can see this level and he can actually see under the tree. Yeah? The commander, the loader and the gunner are up there. They're looking at the leaves and the branches. That makes it really, really difficult for a tank when you're in the forest and the scrub to actually see what's in front of you, around you, because you're level with all the tree leaves and branches and everything. The driver can see underneath her because he's down lower, and that's something people don't actually comprehend too easy unless you experience it. But what George is saying is his vision is limited. Just there, just there. So anything on the ground either side is out of vision.
Yeah.
So he relies on the guys up there, commander and loader, to look down both sides and keep him informed of how close he is to the tree or the people or all that.
So there's constant communication, like through...
There's the intercom in the vehicle is constant communication about what's happening.
But generally, I would 99% of the time drive with my hatches open, even if we were having a contact, unless it was a really serious contact, because the bastards are thing to look through those. When you're closed down, the noise is horrendous. It sounds like someone's got a hammer and bashing on the side of the tank. Bang, 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 bang. And then they fire that big gun and all the cordite fumes come in. So I found it easier to have the hatches open. If it was really dicky, we would close down, but the vision was so bad I couldn't see where I was going half the time.
Yeah,
you know.
Right. I never closed down in the whole year.
But he doesn't bend like it used to.
No, you be careful. You know, the whole time we were over there as a crew, and I was saying, talking to Gary about this before, we don't recall ever having an argument. Now this is 4 men in a tight,
live in each other's pockets.
That's what I'm trying to say, tight confines. I don't ever recall having a blue, you know, or even getting upset about anything. We all did what we did, and we all kind of just did what we did. We all knew our jobs. They did nothing, I did all the work. It was quite easy. I don't start.
Well, why haven't you adjusted the tracks?
That's what I'm saying. I'd spend all day driving, probably 14 or 15 hours driving. They're all out there smoking cigarettes and reading magazines. We'd stop over night time. They go off to their orders groups. I had to put the tarp up. I had to put the beds out, fluff up the pillows for them, and then I had to cook dinner. And then they'd come back and say, "Oh, it's not fucking done yet. What have you been doing?" I thought, "Mate, give me a break."
And then you woke up.
No, and then you've got the shower bucket ready yet, mate. Okay, whose hair am I washing now? I mean, that's how hard it was.
That was the highlight of the day.
Was the shower.
Was the hot shower.
Oh yeah.
So where would that happen?
Right.
We stopped at a roadhouse on the way.
Yeah, we took our own shower with us.
We had a shower with us.
Yeah, we had a shower with us. Yeah. We'd hang a crowbar off the back there with a 20 litre shower bucket with a
canvas bucket
with a row, on and off rows.
Yeah.
And we had a row of water jerry cans across the transmission decks. And at the end of the day, they were warm or hot.
Yeah.
So every day we took it in turns of who went first, second and third. So a full 20 litre jerry can went in the shower, and then 4 of us would get a shower out of that.
If you were last man showering,
you get wet, turn it off, soap yourself up, rinse yourself off, turn it off, next plug. So every 4th day you've got slightly longer shower there.
So if you're a 4th guy, you just kind of might have got a rinse, you know. But if you're the first guy, you would say, "Come on, Mick! How many times did you wash your bloody hair? You hurry up."
At least you weren't the 4th guy in a bathtub. Yeah, right.
says the hairdresser.
Yeah, exactly. George, you were saying before that you weren't sure about whether you wanted to go back inside.
Well, no, I'm just saying that I feel I have mixed feelings about it. Whether I'm kind of apprehensive. I don't want to, but I want to. This is a conversation Gary and I had when we first met after 53 years, sitting at his table. We were talking about this and that, and he's showing me DVDs, and I'm looking at this contact report and that. And they're things I probably shut away 1,000 years ago and locked away in the back of my head. I haven't gone to that spot, you know, so I don't think much about it. Doing this documentary has brought back a lot of memories, good ones and a few funny ones, but good. And to see the guys again, but going up to see Matt a couple of weeks ago for a location shoot and getting on the tank again, I kind of had mixed feelings. I think Jared got more pleasure out of it sitting in the tank that his dad drove in Vietnam than I had coming back. I was kind of like, yeah, okay, there's a tank, you know, kind of thing, you know. So I don't know.
So Mick, did you have those mixed feelings too?
I was looking forward to it. So, well, George changed streams and went off to catering corps.
Yep.
So he did. That was his last touch with tanks.
Yep. Yeah.
Whereas I stayed with it for the full 20 years. So I went from Centurion to Leopard. I was a driver instructor on these, and then driving instructor on Leopard, and then.
So you maintained.
So I maintained the connection, but just to get back to an old Centurion that's still going, you've got the juices running again.
Really?
Yep,
Wow.
really.
And what was it like actually sitting back inside?
Good. And then I'd had to rack my brain to remember what everything was and what I did. Yeah.
No, agreed. Like, I want to have a drive.
I mean,
I just don't embarrass myself, you know, because I'll probably crunch the gears and do something I shouldn't do. And you're talking about stick changes. I mean, that's something I haven't thought about. There's a special way of changing by flicking your stick and changing your gear without using the clutch.
Well, just a quick tap on the clutch as you go through neutral or flick the stick. It locks up the transmission just for that nanosecond to go because it's a crash gearbox. It's not a synchro gearbox.
There's no synchro machine. You've got to do everything yourself. And the clutches have got about 24-pound resistance. 80-pound resistance on. So
that's why drivers had big, strong left legs, no brains.
And why gunners all have black eyes, because we're always hitting bumps and they're sitting boom like this all the time. So you could always tell a gunner he had black eyes. We all used to walk around with big left leg
and two muscly arms from steer.
So and then you'd get in an APC to have a drive, and they were automatic.
Yep.
And so you sit in an APC and you just put like the stick shift. You just put it into there, automatic transmission, and you go power steering, and away you go. Same to Leopard. I had driven a Leopard before, but yeah.
Automatic.
So Mick and I trained to go to Vietnam together. So probably out of the crew, Mick and I have been together the longest.
Yeah.
So we trained in Australia with learning to be tank drivers, learning to be a tank troop and fighting as a tank troop, learning to fight with cavalry and a tank troop, then learning to fight with infantry as well. So you do all this training before you go out. So Mick and I are in the same tank, the same troop and squadron prior to Vietnam. I went to Vietnam before you, I think.
Yeah, because I was supposed to go then, but you did that to me.
I chopped his finger off for him, and he didn't remember that until a couple of years ago when I reminded him. I said, "What did you do with your finger?" He said, "Oh, I think I must have hurt it somehow." I said, "Do you remember that I did that?" "What?" I said, "Yeah." Anyhow,
on the gun crunch, that thing at the back there, when the turret's...
Can you show me?
When the turret's not working properly, or the turret system's not working properly, to stop the wear and tear on the rack and pinion rigging,
goes in there.
Gun goes in there.
Oh.
So what was
right now, the turret on Power Travis, the turret would go around a full lap in about 26 seconds. So, and you've got 13 tonne of barrel there. So I'm holding it up.
So now just jump in before then. We were doing a bit of cross training. So Mick said to me, or someone said to me, "George, you get in the turret and you lower the gun, right?" And Mick's in the back here, and Mick's hanging onto it.
Standing up there.
with his hands are in there with one finger in. Of course, I'm sitting in the turret and I just hit it. Instead of doing it gently, it went straight down, chopped his finger off. He jumped off screaming and ran like 115 kilometres at about 3 seconds, screamed his head off. The troop sergeant said to me, "George, fuck, get down there, find his finger in the dirt." And I'm searching for his finger in the dirt. Meanwhile, he's screaming through the hills. Ah!
And it came clean off.
Yeah, well, that's a remains. It's split there, and there was a lump hanging there and a lump hanging there, and a bit of bone sticking out.
So you didn't find the detached bit?
No, I wasn't looking for it anyhow.
Well, it'd be like trying to find it in this mud here.
Right.
Well, I don't know how much you lost. I'm trying to find the whole thing. I'm panicking because I broke my mate's bloody finger off. Troop sergeant's yelling at me. He's screaming through the bushes. Everyone's running around thinking he's been raped or something's done to him. Anyhow, there you go.
Yeah, so I got delayed. While I was waiting for this to get healed and all the rest of it,
that's right,
I was delayed in getting
So the story goes. The story goes.
You were in hospital for 30 days, right?
Yeah, well, that was just in the hospital time.
So the story goes because I'm a quiet speaker. I don't say too much. Not like Gary. So the story goes, then Mick eventually came over to Vietnam and we ended up in the same crew again. And we served on the sergeant's tank, which is called 1 Alpha, so out of the 4 tanks, and that's the one at Molong. And then when we came back from Vietnam, we both decided that we didn't want to be in tanks anymore, because I was posted back to what they call support squadron. It was my job to be a driver with the young officers learning how to be crew commanders and sleep in the dirt. I thought, I've had probably, in 12 months or 18 months, I think I saw Sue and Jared probably twice in that whole time, you know, because of exercises and everything else. So I thought, no, I've got to get a better job than that. And at that time, National Service was still running, so there was lots of opportunities to kind of move around. So I said to Mick, because Mick always listens to me, and I said, Mick, we should become clerks. What do you reckon? And Mick said, what a bloody good idea. So we went away for another 3 months. Yeah, get out of this dirt and stuff, mate. 1 guard every month, we'll be fine. So Mick and I then spent 3 months away from our wives learning to become clerks and touch typing and all this kind of stuff, right? After driving tanks. And then we came back and were posted to Armoured Centre, the headquarters. I was, in those days we didn't have computers, so we had a typing pool, the girls used to do the typing, and then I was a filing clerk.
No, I was a filing clerk first.
Yeah, well you might have been, but I was eventually.
I only lasted a week because the adjutant come out, or the chief clerk come out, Potato Head.
Warrants Jeeves.
Yeah. He come out, he said, Trooper Payne, have we had any correspondence this week? Shit, sir, look, all registered in the book here and that. Where's the files? In the cabinet.
So
supposed to go to people that need to read them. Well, they're in the cabinet.
He got the sack for that. So this is an old card index system, right?
Yeah.
So then you had a book on the side that told you how to register things. So the SDS or the signals would come in. We have to write it in a book. You know, received on the 12th, I think, a letter, Then you go to your card index and work out what it was, because some of these signals might have had 2 or 3 items on it, different things. So, okay, it might be R819-6-7. And you put that in a file, and you put all the files together. But I was smart. I remembered I had to go further forward. See, Mick had just put them away. So then I took them in to where they had to go. And where I sat about here, and where Justin is, was the chief clerk. Mine, you got on the wrong bloody file again, and he threw it at me, and the thing comes skimming across the desk, and I say, sir, it covers this, it covers that. You got no bloody idea, boy, what you doing? So I didn't last long there either, see. So then, I don't know what you did after that. I went to roll books and rations.
I went to roll books and rations, and we had a fortnightly or monthly audit on everything on a Tuesday night or something. And I'd got it all wrong. The figures were all back to front. The cooks there run out of rations or had too many. So they said, that's it, Payne, get up to support squadron, headquarters up there, where there was just the one clerk that looked after the whole thing. He got the bullet from there. So then they moved me into roll books and rations, right? And the bloke that I replaced, who was going on leave, had almost copybook writing, right? And then you get all the little roll books that come in from all the areas. We had a big master roll book, right? To set the pen, and the little square had to have a P in it or an L or whatever it might be.
he used to put it down and have it coming around so beautifully, and it looked like manuscript. So he mucked it up. It was my job. Now we obviously weren't very good clerks, you see. So I'm in there doing peas and things everywhere, doing the rations, put them in, send them all away. Done a good job.
And forecast
until
7 days in advance who was going to be there or who wasn't going to be there.
Until the quartermaster came in and said, "Who's the ration clerk?" "Oh, Trooper Main is." "We're overdrawing 3,000 rations." I said, "Why?" And he said, "They're on bloody holidays and you're still drawing food for them, you stupid boy."
Oh my God.
I think you can leave this job as well.
Yeah,
so the two of us weren't doing too good at all. So
yeah, so I went up to support squadron.
Yeah.
And Luigi Bryant was the OC at the time, and
well,
Heathwood was the SSM, and I'm in my little office, sick of shoveling bits of paperwork from bloody way here to there and down to the headquarters back. Luigi's, "Trooper Payne, you're a gunner sig by trade, aren't you?" "Yes, sir. Starting a hangar on Monday."
Now, hang on. No. I think there's a jump in there. Didn't you get promoted Lance Corporal just ahead of me?
No, I was.
You must
I went up the hangar before I got promoted.
No,
I was up in the hangar.
I went away on an education course and come back, and
I didn't have to go and get educated.
No, I went away because I wanted to become an officer. No, I went away and did an education course. You got promoted Lance Corporal.
Oh, that was not until about 1973.
No, I'm sure you got promoted Lance Corporal as a clerk. And then when I come back, I said to Mick, "How come you got promoted?" And they said, "Oh, you're going to get promoted as well, George." And I become a Lance Corporal as well.
No, I
was memory, so we can't work it out. But we weren't very good clerks anyhow. So then I became a storeman tech, right? And I didn't know right-hand screwdriver from a left-hand screwdriver, let alone an open ender from a ring spanner, so they took me out of that job as well. So then they said, "What you should do, what do you want to do?" And I said, "Oh, I about become a paymaster. I wouldn't mind doing that." So I went away and I did a pay course. And when I overpaid the band, it took me out of that job as well. And I think, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then this Major, King his name was, come up to me one day and he said, "Main," I was a Lance Corporal then, I know I was. Anyhow, he said to me, "Come over to the officers' mess and help me move a fridge. I'll have a talk to you." I said, "Okay." So I go over there and I'm moving the fridge. And he said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I don't know." I said, "I can't do much. I keep mucking everything up." He said, "You know, my little mate Payne, it was always Main and Payne, Payne and Main all the time. Main, Payne, Payne, Main, where are you?" So he's gone back to tanks. And this Major said, "Well, in those days we had Armoured Corps stewards and artillery stewards and everything. So the cooks were just cooks, and then they didn't have many stewards." And so he said, "You can come over here and be a mess manager." I said, "Well, I wouldn't want to have a go at that. I mean, I managed to muck everything else up. I reckon I'll have a good go." So I went over to the Armour Centre Officers' Mess and had a handover with Corporal Dalglish and become a mess supervisor. Had no idea what I was doing, had no qualifications, knew nothing. And then at that time, Catering Corps said, "Well, we want all these non-corps people to come into Catering Corps. We're going to expand Catering Corps and have proper catering trained mess managers." Because at that time it was just a job to shift the shitwits out, you know, and put them into the messes because you can't use them for anything else, you know. So that was me. So anyhow, they then said, "Okay, what we'll do, we'll send you away on all these courses." And I did all my trade courses right through to warrant officer in the space of about 6 or 7 weeks. I knew everything on paper, had no idea about anything else still, and went back to the officers' mess, became a full corporal. We should help this bloke down. We better cut it there. We're just going to help Gary down. Gary, just
Nice
wait. Stop, I'll get the ladder. Stop.
What are you going to probably do, George? Leap off once.
You could leap off once, turn around.
Oh, come on, that way.
Okay, whatever you like. Come down, on the ladder. Next one, that's it. Next one.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I thought so too.
You have any flashbacks, mate?
I'm impressed.
Bring back a few memories?
So then they said, "Well, now you're fully qualified, we'll give you a second stripe and you can run the Armour Centre Officers' Mess." And then I thought, well, I'll get out the army now because my 6 years are up, and I thought I'd get a job as probably the Hilton hotel manager or something like that. And the best job I got was a barman in a pub in Brisbane, and I was polishing floors of a night time to make ends meet. I had 2 jobs, and then Gough Whitlam got in, and our pay groups was what we were on, pay group, whatever what it was, tank driver, but it doesn't matter, pay group.
No, you were on level.
No, then it changed to levels.
Yeah, that's right.
So they reorganised the pay and the levels. I was getting these checks in the mail. So I went to Army recruiting, and I said, well, what's this about? So I've been back pay for when you're in. And I said, well, mate, my pay's gone up. Would you take me back? And I said, we've got 2 choices. You can either go back to Armoured Corps as a trooper or back to Catering Corps as a corporal. So I'll go back to the corporal. By the way, we're posting you to 3 FER in Townsville, and it's a combined cav and engineer mess. You'll like that. So I went up there as a corporal, and then after about 12 or 18 months I went to, 1 RAR, Infantry Battalion, breakfast, and got promoted sergeant.
And you enjoyed the work?
Yeah, I got the gift of the gab, and we just worked really well.
You wouldn't tell. You couldn't tell.
But in 1 RAR, they say you never served in a unit until you served in an infantry regiment, and I agree with that. I mean, I know a tank regiment's a tank regiment, but an infantry regiment is the basics of how everything works in the army, all the numbers. And my caterer didn't want to talk to me because he didn't believe in stewards. He was an old-fashioned kind of a guy. Stewards are always bloody fresh air, you know, you're bloody lolly-legged or whatever. So I said, no, fine. I said, we have a role, because I knew all this, because I was fully qualified. I knew on paper what we had to do. So I said, when the battalion goes bush, there is a role for stewards. I said, the sergeant, steward, everybody else, we site the kitchens, we site the latrines, we do the night pickups, we prepare all the food, we get the food on the choppers. Yeah, well, we'll see how it all works, you know. Just bringing in TV dinner trays in those days. And the army decided to try and do hot meals in the field, and they had these L4 trays. So they gave all these different units all this food, and we had a change at caterer, and my new caterer come in and he said, we're going to prove that we can do a hot meal for these guys anywhere, anytime in the field. We're going to run the kitchen 24 hours a day. I'm talking about a kitchen, just hot stoves out in the bush with a bit of tarp over us, and when you have to move, you've got to pack up the hot stoves, put it on the truck and go. Let's prove we can do it all. And other units were burying their food because they couldn't get it all done. We ran it 24 hours a day wherever we were, and a hot meal and a cup of tea. And what made me feel so good was when they came back in and we talked to them, the guy said nothing better than a hot meal and a cup of tea after I've been laying in the dirt for hours, you know, a proper hot meal, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we proved that there was a role for stewards in a battalion. Not just me, but the other guys as well. And all of a sudden, it made the cooks and the stewards, I guess, more cohesive in the unit. Because even in the sergeant's mess, I used to get a lot of shit because I was a steward. Sergeant cooks even didn't want to talk to me, you know. So we proved our point, and from then on it was great. Yeah.
Fantastic. And you found what you wanted to do?
Well, I don't know, it just kind of found me, I think.
Yeah.
We just went on from there, and then...
You accidentally fell into it.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I mean, I used to enjoy cooking for the boys here, and I learned to cook when my dad passed on. Mum taught me how to peel spuds and get the vegetables ready while she was at work, and then she'd turn them all on, and I learned to cook and do things like that. I enjoy being of service to people, so that's why I do what I do. And I then got promoted to warrant officer, went to Canungra. I've only been a warrant officer for about 2 years, I only had one posting, then I got commissioned and sent down to Victoria Barracks. So I was a Woad 2 commissioned to captain, posted to a major's job. I got to run all the catering for Victoria Barracks and that.
No, it's the one with your right hand.
What's that? I think the commander's never been a gunner.
She'll go, driver.
Start her up, Mick. Give her a whirl, she'll.
Give her a few pumps. Ignition on.
There we go.
She turned on.
Back on.
to save me, no. And don't come running to blame me. From miles away I can tell that something's off. The way you look and how you pause when you talk, I think you said enough. You